Hello and welcome to the Streamline and Shine podcast. My name is Steph Bolton and I'm 1/3 of Bolton Virtual Solutions, a team made up of me, Mum, and my two daughters, Sam and Amy. Our family virtual assistant agency's absolute passion is helping time-poor female entrepreneurs with those ridiculously long to-do lists, because we all know how they get longer instead of shorter, so that they're able to focus on doing what they love. You're going to want to stick around if you find yourself constantly just doing this thing quickly instead of spending time with your family, or if you look at your list of tasks and feel like crying, or even if you're just simply wondering how to manage your time better and delegate to your team. We're going to be covering topics from social media to marketing, systems and processes to outsourcing, and so much more, so that you can see what's possible for you and your business. So let's get stuck in. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Streamline and Shine podcast. And today we're joined by an absolute inspiration of a woman, Samantha Hearne, who is a business coach and mentor. She's my business coach and mentor on top of that. And she's on the podcast today to answer my questions about her journey as a female entrepreneur and how she's made things happen so that she's able to work smarter and not harder. So welcome, Sam.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. So we're going to get straight to it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cool. Okay. So we're going to come to your backstory shortly, but tell us about your business now and what you do.
So, in a nutshell, I help women who have service-based businesses to make more profit and work less hours.
Love it. Love it. We love a bit of simplicity, don't we?
Yeah, if I was to give you a real nutshell, that's what I do. I try and support women to create more impact and income, but by working, like you said, smarter, not working longer hours, and actually feeling like their business is something that they do, but not their entire life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really important, like, because it's so easy to let it bog you down, isn't it?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Okay. So when did you start your own business and were you doing something different?
I started my business in 2016. And at the time, I was a full-time teacher. So I was a full-time secondary school teacher, and I was head of year 12 at the time, I think. And I started my first business, which is called A Happy Mind, and it was all around anxiety and mental health. I wrote a book, I had a podcast, I had a membership, I did all sorts of things in that business. I ran that business until 2018. And by that point, I was able to leave teaching and people would ask me how I'd done it. So I then transitioned into the business space, helping more people with building a brand, building a community, building profits and building a successful business. So in 2019, I let go of A Happy Mind and became Samantha Hearne online. I was already Samantha Hearne, but you know what I mean. Yeah, that's where I started.
Okay. So what made you pivot to a different industry? Why did you decide to leave the mindset space
I think
behind?
it just felt like a really organic next step because it was kind of that's where all the conversations were leading me to, and that's where everyone wanted more information on. So it was almost that was what people were curious about, and that's what people were interested in. And I knew that I could help people because I had done it and it was so relevant for me. So it was more one, people were really interested in that and wanted my help. And two, I had such great credibility because I'd done it and people could see that and they could see that in the work that I was doing. So yeah, I navigated for those two reasons really.
Okay. So when did you realize that being a business coach, business mentor was the thing that you were supposed to be doing, like the thing that you were destined to do?
For me, I don't find it hard to help people. So if people bring me what they deem as a problem, it's not a problem to me. So I think that's when I realized it's what I was meant to do because no client was bringing me anything that I didn't know the answer to and I didn't know how to help them with it. So I kind of thought to myself, do you know what? This is also I'm a teacher by trade. So put teaching with what I had then done in practice into a business. That's kind of what I'd done. That's what I'd built. So I think that's when I realized, okay, this is easy, it felt easy. It wasn't difficult for me to help people. And the knowledge that I had, the application, the experience, it just worked.
Yeah, I mean, because I've seen, so this is our third, fourth year working together.
Mm.
And I've seen so many different questions thrown at you. And I've never seen you like struggle to answer. So, and I think that speaks volumes for me, because I think it doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's not many people who struggle to answer any question. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's like a massive thing.
Yeah, and I think, do you know, I totally get that. And actually, I know that that's one of my like areas of strength. I'm very fast thinking and resourceful and solution based thinking, and I'm quite innovative and creative with my ideas. So I think the thing for me that helps is the ethos behind my business and the values that I have is all around relationships. So
Mm.
because I know who I'm helping, that makes it easier. I know their personality, I know their business, I know their ideal client. So it would be harder if I was doing that with people I didn't know and I didn't know how they worked. But in the way that I do business, it's really easy because I know how to activate my clients. I know what they need. I know what would make them tick. So
Mm.
yeah, I agree. And I love that that's a zone of genius that I have. And I think it serves me so well in
Mm.
business. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And it uses my brain as well. And I feel like I'm stimulated. That's important.
Definitely.
So yeah, I love it.
Good. Good. Okay. So we're looking at 2025 now. So
Yeah, crazy.
what is your big focus for 2025 and why?
My big focus for 2025 is to make £1 million in sales in a year.
Small focus then.
Yeah, small focus. Yes. The reason for that is I had my daughter at the end of 2022. So I spent the whole of 2022 near enough. I did IVF in March. So the whole of 2022 I was pregnant. And then she came right at the end of 2022. So then the whole of 2023 I was navigating that first year of motherhood. So in 2023 and 2024, my goals, my work life, my focus was all very different, and it was all about stabilize, just make sure things are stable like they had been, sustain the business, essentially sustain what I was doing,
But
but have
learning
enough
to
time.
adapt at the same time, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
having enough
Yeah.
time and bandwidth to also be a mum, which I'd wanted to be for so long, but now I had a business that was its own machine. So I would say the reason for that goal is not an ego thing, and it's not to impress anyone. It's because, one, I know I can do it, and I know that the business is at a point that it needs to be challenged, and I need that. I need to be challenged. But the business that I have, and I talk to my clients about this all the time, the business I'm currently running is the business that I had 2023, when I had just become a mum and things were different. But she's 2 now. And of course, people listening to this that have got older children, I completely appreciate the changes are different, but I feel like my hormones have settled down. I feel like my identity, I've kind of grasped the fact that I am a mum now. I feel like I've sort of caught up with myself. So the reason that's my goal is I know that the business needs to evolve. And that's because I've evolved, and I need the business to be able to hold my capacity for more in its infrastructure and its ecosystem. So I need a goal that is big. I need a goal that is stretchy.
Mm.
I need a goal that also challenges me. I work really well with challenge. I work really well with big challenges, pressure. I work really well in those situations. And when you run your own business, and for me, the last 2 years have been more around making sure everything is stable and how I want it to be, I need that push. So by me claiming that and speaking to Luke, my husband, and making that a statement, it just gives me the push that I need. And I need my business to evolve in the way that it runs, in the way that it functions. And that's really important. So if I don't set myself this type of goal, which I know I can achieve, but if I don't set myself that goal, things won't move at the pace that I want. And this year for me is all about that. I want to accelerate things again and put my foot back on the pedal, because before 2022, the business was just constantly, new strength to strength to strength. And then I actively took a bit of a step back from, events, public speaking, networking. And I don't regret that at all. That was the right decision. But now I'm at a stage where I need that for myself. I need that push. I need that challenge. And I need the business to come with me. The business can't run like it did in 2019. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely not. And I remember, I think it was on one of our coaching calls, probably last month, when you said, when I set myself a challenge, I know I'm going to achieve it. Like
Yeah,
there's no other option. That's going to
no
happen.
other option. Yeah,
That's
there's
it.
no other option. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm holding you to this.
Yeah. So that's my big 2025 focus.
Okay. Okay. I love that. I love that. Um,
And the other thing that I would say to that actually for the
yeah.
listeners is there's no pressure to do everything right now. So we're obviously recording this on the 4th of Feb. So it's quite early in the year. I don't feel panicked. I'm not sitting here throwing my kitchen sink at everything. I'm going to do this how I do everything, which is slow and steady. I'm going to do it in a way that works and operates well for me. I'm going to do it in a way that is paced and spaced out. I'm not going to approach this year as a sprint. And I think
Mm.
some people, when they set themselves goals, they do then think, oh, if it hasn't manifested and become my reality by June, well, it's over. I don't have that at all. I know that by the end of the year, that's the reality, but I'm also enjoying the journey of it. It's going to take time, and I know that. And I think that when you appreciate the fact that things will take time if you want them to work properly, you approach them in a completely different way. I'm not panicked. I'm not pushing. I'm not forcing. I know it will come because I'm going to do the right steps that feel good for me and the business, but not just for this goal, but forever. And I think that's really
Mm.
important when people set goals. It can't just be this forced, panicked, nervous energy.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, no, I can completely relate to that because obviously, you know that when I'm made redundant this year, at the end of the summer, I've got a financial goal in mind that I want to have hit by then.
Mm,
And honestly, we're not near it yet, as I mentioned to you on our call earlier, but I'm not completely shitting myself because it's not going to happen overnight.
mm,
So I can still be choosy to a certain degree with who I work with and the clients that we take on. And, we want to be happy in what we're doing. We don't want to feel stressed or, like at someone's beck and call because they really don't know how to do anything. So they just lean on us constantly. So yeah, I can completely relate to that. It's just got to be slow and steady. It's like the tortoise and the hare, isn't it?
100%. Slow and steady is one of my favorite phrases. I love it. Slow
Mm,
and steady to me is sexy. I don't want to be doing anything
mm.
quickly. I want it to last. And that's always been my motto. So
And
yeah, I
it's
think it's so good to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's always like also, sorry, like you with your marathon training. You've had to start off slow and you're
Yeah.
getting better and better every run you do. So, and that's
Yeah.
with injuries included.
Yeah, and it is. I think that's the thing, like, and a lot of people say, and I totally get it, but they're like, how are you doing it all? How do you do it? You've got this business, I've set up another business. Luke and I have got a business. I'm training for a marathon. I've got this goal, all of those things. But I think it's just really important to always do things that make you feel proud of yourself.
Mm,
Otherwise, as an adult, life just becomes very monotonous. And, like, yeah, I've never run a marathon before. I've run half marathons. I've never run a marathon before. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what my body on the day, I don't know what my body will do. I don't know how my mind will be. And there's no way of knowing that unless I do it. So I think,
mm,
it might be hard and it might give me a real ego bruise. And I might be like, wow, I'm way off the mark here and I'm not going to get the time I want and all of that. But all of that's a journey. Control, I can't control the outcome. All I can do is control what I do to prepare for the outcome. And this is
mm,
the same with business. You can't control when someone says yes, you can't control when someone pays, you can't control when someone goes to you and doesn't pay their defaults on their payment. You can't control those things, but what you can control is how you approach things. So I just focus on my approach to things, and then ultimately what will happen will happen. There's only so much I can do, and that's I trust in myself and what I'm capable of, but I also trust in what's meant to happen. I don't have a fear of failure. I don't see failing as a bad thing. So, if I on the day of the marathon, I get a time and it starts with a 5 initially, obviously, I'd love to do it in sub 4:45, but if on the day that doesn't happen, it wasn't meant to be, but I still fucking ran a
but you've
marathon. You
still
know what I
completed
mean?
it.
Like, so I just think you can't beat yourself up for trying. And if you get given different lessons along the way and different detours and diversions and different challenges, that's all part of you and the makeup of the person you're meant to be. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. And of course, I might get to the end of this year and I've made 800k. That's nothing to be laughed at. Do you know what I mean? I just think you have to aim.
Definitely not.
You have to challenge yourself, and you have to aim big. And if you get close to it, that's not a failure. You've shown yourself what's possible, and then the rest is up.
Yeah.
That's that. You have to build your life on belief and momentum and choices that you're making, not on constantly battering yourself down about, oh, but I didn't get near this. No, it's not quite right. No, it's £500 less than I wanted for this month. So now let's close the business. That is not the mindset of an entrepreneur.
No.
It's not the way that you're going to be able to create this scaffolded approach to success.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. Okay, so what would you say is the importance of having biz besties or finding your tribe as a female business owner, and why?
Oh man, I would say it's so difficult. It's so difficult as a woman in business because most people in your circle won't be doing it. So it's difficult because the friendships and the social circles you have are amazing. And I still have friends, most of my friends I've had for like 10 years plus, right? Some of them I've known since I was like 4. So, and I love all of my friends. I adore them so much. They're my family. I'm so fucking grateful for my friends. Honestly, they're like my ride or dies. And I am so, so happy that I've got so many supportive women in my life. But when it came to running my business, I didn't have that. I didn't have people that were doing what I was doing. And I think it's really important for you to just have people you can be honest with, like you can with your friends. And when you do have businesses and you can share the ups and the downs, it just makes it so much less alien. It makes it so much more. And, like I've got a really good biz bestie, and we had a call last week. She's a Sunday Times bestseller. She's smashing it. And, she's a multimillionaire. She's amazing. And we were having a chat about our goals. We wrote a little list down. We're going to have a call once a month just to like check in. You need that. You need that. And also as well, you need to be able to have people in your corner because it changes so quickly. The online space changes so quickly. Social media, technology, AI, advancements, everything changes. So you need people in your corner that you can bounce ideas off, troubleshoot, connect, have fun with. So, I just think it would be so much more boring doing it on your own. And,
Yeah.
I just don't think you can have the same zest for it if you're just doing it on your own the whole time.
Yeah, I think the excitement out of it would be just completely gone, wouldn't it? Because like who's going to celebrate with you? Like, yeah, you might have a mentor, but it's not exactly the same relationship as when you've got a bestie who's also a business owner. And
Totally.
yeah, and it's, and that's not to say like we're not mates, because we're always going to be mates, but we have to also, like, we've got boundaries with each other, because I respect you as my mentor, like you've got days and times that you don't work. So if on one of those days or times I want to celebrate, there's someone else that I need to speak to. Do you know what I mean? I want
Yeah.
to, but also on the other hand, if I need to pick up the phone and cry down the phone at someone, like I need someone to do that to that's going to get it.
Yeah,
And
you
go
do.
in and shout and scream at Ant because something's gone tits up, but he won't get it. Like he'll console me and he'll
Different.
cuddle me and whatever else, but there's not that understanding there.
Yeah,
So
it's different.
yeah, and that's why I put this question in with all my interviews, because I do think that everyone needs to find their tribe when they're a business
Yeah.
owner, male or female, to be
I
fair. But I
completely
think
agree.
it
I've
can
got
be,
really good male business friends, like one
yeah,
especially. If I called him now, he'd answer the phone, we'd have a chat. Like he's such an amazing man. And I think, yeah, you're right, you do. You just need people. You need people that get it, and you need people that support you, and you need people to celebrate you. And yeah, I just think it's so important.
massively, massively. So, okay. So what's the big, big, massive, huge, humongous dream for Samantha Hearne coaching?
I'm loving these questions. This is such a great interview. I dove into this recently, and if I'm really honest, my big, big vision is I want to be paid to be myself. That's
But you're
it.
kind of doing that already in a way.
Yeah, but bigger. Like I want to be paid to speak on big stages. I want to be paid to be in the room. I want to be like an influencer in our space, I
Mm,
want to be more on the big podcasts, doing the documentaries, doing the be doing the activating work, not just the mentoring. Quite a lot of what I do now is mentoring. I want to be the activation, you know, I want to be on stages with thousands of people and do that. I really want to become an activator for women's success, and I want to do it on a larger scale. So that's probably my big thing for Samantha Hearne. I want it to be, I just want it to be like arenas, you know, like big. That's my big
because you've done a lot of speaking at events, haven't you? Like I know you spoke at Atomicon, didn't you? Last year, the year before, I can't remember.
No, that was 2019.
Oh, okay. So you've done Atomicon, you've spoken in America, you've spoken all over the UK, but you just want to make it a massive scale, basically.
I want that to be my thing, you know, like I want it to be big conferences, big centers. Like I want that to be the main
thing,
name in spotlights type thing, you know. Like I want my business to I want it to be more than me. I want it to be a brand, you know. Like I always think about people like Gabby Bernstein, you know, she's got books and she speaks, and that's really what she does now. Whereas when I first started following her in 2016, she was coaching, she was doing challenges, she was doing all of those things. So it's that I kind of want the work that I do to be able to be in more people's eyeballs and ears and hearts, and that become more of its own beast, you know. So the work that I do will still exist, but I want that type of bigger machine outside of what I do.
Oh, I love this. I love this. Have you
watch this space, things are starting to happen for that already.
Have you got like, I know, I've noticed that already, but have you got like a timeline in mind of when you'd like that to happen by, or are you just working towards it and it will take as long as it takes?
I don't have a timeline. I mean, we've got a timeline, like Luke and I have got a timeline for our like life and early retirement and all of those things, and that is in about 4 and a bit years time now. So there's but if it's not that, it will be something else. Like I know that this is what I mean. I know what I want will happen because it's how I work, but that might take longer, it might happen sooner. But I would say by 2030, no 2029, that's when the big crescendo will hit.
Right, okay, I'm watching, so will everyone else be now.
I don't do things by halves either, so when things move, they move. And you know, when I make these statements and these claims, I'll act on them. You know, I'll speak on stages, I'll say yes to things, I'll do the things that need to be done, I'll put myself out there, I'll try new things, I'll be the one that leads and does it. So, and I love that. So this 2025 is a big year for me. It's a big year for my goals, for my dreams, for what I want to achieve. It's a big year for my success. It's a big year for all of those things. And that's the plan. The plan for 2025 was always that: go big or go home, right? There is no, that's it. But I think bigger term, that's what it's going towards. That's what I want to work towards, where, you know, where my vision is for my life, my future, my family.
Okay. So with this big goal in mind, tell us how you've streamlined things in your business. So whether it's systems and processes, managing your time, having boundaries, that kind of thing. What have you put in place to help you achieve that goal eventually?
Yeah, great question. So one thing, if I go right back to the start, this was maybe 2017, a VA reached out to me and said, can we do an interview? And I was like, yeah, cool. Like, yeah, you know, it was way back. Instagram was just photos. You didn't even have stories. You couldn't do lives. There was no reels. None of that existed. I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Anyway, she then became my VA. And since then, her business has become a multi-six-figure agency. I've stayed with her. She's now my OBM, and her team manages most of my business, like podcast editing, you know, all the stuff. But that started from a seed. So one of the things that I've done is I've got this like team that manages everything for me. That's huge. So they do everything from like my invoices, chasing invoices, admin, emails, booking in client calls, onboarding, podcast editing, graphics, sales pages. I mean, all sorts. That's huge because I go into Asana at the start of every month and I just allocate everything, and then they then time stamp it, like when are the deadlines, but I just literally lump everything in there at the start of every month. That's really good for me in terms of like a process that allows me to delegate effectively, but make sure everything gets done. In terms of processes for boundaries, I only have calls on a Monday and Tuesday, and I don't book calls outside of those times. And I have 2 email addresses, one for my team and one for me. So if there's a tech issue, a payment issue, anything like that, it goes to my team. If it's anything to do with me, it comes to me. And I keep things simple. So I have all of my calls get booked with any clients up front. So everyone knows when their calls are, and then it's all scheduled out. They have their own Zoom link, and that's all managed and time blocked. And I also, in terms of my boundaries with things, like people ask me a lot to go on podcasts and speak at their events and do all sorts of things. And the biggest boundary for me is I always think about how much I've been away from my daughter for that week. So if Mondays and Tuesdays I work, and then Wednesday mornings now I work as well to 12. So really that's half and half. And that's probably as much as I want to go to until she's at school, to be honest. I like the balance, and I like that she's with me. So until and obviously she's the oldest in the year, so she won't be going to school till she's nearly 5, but she won't be going to full-time preschool until 4.5. So I've got at least 2 more years like this. So if people ask me to do things outside of those times, I always balance it up and say, okay, is this worth me being away from her for another day that week where it's our time? And if it is, and that could be to do with the opportunity, the people, the network, the space, the exposure, how fun it feels for me, how much I want to do it. And if not, then I will try and find another time, and I'll negotiate and say, oh, could we do it on this day, or can we do it on this day? But
like we did with this interview, because we'd had it booked in, hadn't we, when you were doing a massive event the following weekend, and you were like, my head is just not going to cope with this.
I just thought, you're right. Like I was away, I was doing 2 massive events, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I thought, I need Tuesday night to put her to bed. I just want to be able to chill. And because I'm then going to be away Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I think when you're thinking about your boundaries, there's boundaries that you have within your business, but then there has to be boundaries that you just have because they feel good for you and they feel good for who you are. And, for example, I don't have any calls booked in the final week of every month. And Luke and I, with our daughter, are away every month of the year from March. And that's because I don't need to move any calls. I don't need to schedule anything because it's all booked out. And if I have a new client sign up with me, they just don't get that week. So if I'm fully offline, my clients get that in advance. If I'm online, so you can message me, but I'm away, that's fine. But if I'm fully offline, I only really do that for 2 of my holidays a year, one in the middle and Christmas. So I think it's your boundaries have to feel good for you as much as it is about protecting your business. Do you know what I mean? So some of my boundaries aren't actually there because it will impact the business. They're there because it would impact me. And how I feel about my business, and it would impact how I can operate, and your bandwidth and your mental health. And
I was just going to say, you've got to protect your mental health, haven't you?
For sure. Mental health is so important. And obviously my background, with the first business, anxiety, mental health, but then my personal background with anxiety, you cannot. And then, after I had my daughter, I got diagnosed with PTSD and postnatal anxiety. And that was really fucking serious. I had not felt like that since I was 21. And now I can't even remember how old I was when I had her now. 33.
The maths ain't mathing.
33, 34. But anyway, like at least a decade. And I remember saying to Luke, like, this is so hard. And obviously now I've got a little person, and anyone that's been in that situation, with anything postnatal, even prenatal, is so difficult. So of course then when running my business, I was like, I have to protect myself and how I feel, and I have to do that for no one else but myself, most importantly, but also my clients. I don't want to be, and my daughter, but I don't want to be in a situation where I can't give my best to the people in my life that I love. And I know that sounds extreme, but I do love my clients. I spend more time with my clients than I do with my family and friends. If I don't love spending time with you, this isn't going to work for me. I don't really have an ideal client. I have an ideal woman who I vibe with. And if you make me feel good, I'm in. If I have to cancel and you make me feel shit, we are not ideal clients, because I wouldn't behave like that as an ideal client. If someone I was working with said, I can't do this because I don't even need to know the reason, I'd be like, cool. So for me, that's why my boundaries matter. I don't have an avatar. I have someone that I say, would they behave how I behave in a crisis or in a celebration? Yeah. All right, cool. We're in. Yeah. So that's why boundaries matter to me. Yeah. Mental health is so important, but also how you feel. And this is really important, actually. When my daughter hasn't actually been that ill that often, like touch wood, she's only had 2 things, but because of my postnatal anxiety, it does, and obviously my childhood, it really, I can't cope with it. I just can't. I can't cope with it. It mentally just is too much for me. I can't see the rational side of it. Like Luke's very rational. She's fine. And I literally just completely melt down.
Yeah.
It's just too much, right? And that will probably be forever, because, you know, my inner child and like I get that. And of course I can work on it. But I think my instinctive default when she's unwell will literally be
panic.
Catastrophe. And when that happened and I had to say, I had to basically say to a few clients, can we move this? Can we move that? Can we move the other? And when everyone at that point was like, don't worry about it, like whatever, I was like, right, this is my gang. These are my people. And even yesterday and today, I've had this little ridiculous cough. All of my clients have asked how I am. And it's not even like, I'm completely fine, I've just got a cough. And I was like, you okay? That's why I think boundaries matter, because if you don't put boundaries in place that make you feel good and actually really value you as the person in the relationship, that's when you will end up with clients that have no respect for you, no compassion. And that's not what this is about. This is not transactional. This is mutual respect. Like if you're in a coach service-based business, you're giving a service, there has to be co-creation there. There has to be mutual respect. So for me, my systems, I know we've kind of digressed a little bit. They're all the things I've put in place, but boundaries wise, I don't work the final week of the month. I don't work Fridays. My clients always communicate when I'm completely offline, and I'm really vocal about if I can't do something or I can do something within their time frame.
Okay, so that was the last question, and I'm glad you went off on a little tangent there, because I think that finished it off quite nicely.
Yeah, I'm here for it. If you don't take anything else from this, make sure what you're doing in your business makes you feel good. It doesn't matter how much money you make. And I've been there. I've had clients that have made £500,000. I've had clients that have become millionaires. I've had clients that have had 50k cash months. I've had clients do it all. I have had clients do it all, everything you could think of. And the one thing that I'm more proud of is the fact that my clients are happy, working hours they want, and feel good in their business. So it doesn't matter how much money you're making if you don't have boundaries and you don't love yourself and respect the work that you do and you don't feel good in what you're doing. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I love that. So just to finish off, can you tell everyone where they can find you, and if you've got a current offer for them, what is it?
Instagram _Samantha Hearne _ just come and stalk me there. And to be honest, what offer I think would be great and would feel fabulous is to join my virtual living room. So I've got a subscription on my Instagram. It's £2.99. Basically, we just have fun on there. So if you want to, I honestly love it. So I would, of course, I've got all the bits and bobs and I can teach you this, that, and the other. But if you want something that just sort of gets you going and gives you that kind of first next step, I would say come and join my virtual living room.
Yeah, I think sitting on the sofa with you is an epic way to spend every day.
Oh, I'm here for it.
Okay, right. Thank you very much for joining us today, Sam. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Streamline and Shine. If you have questions on what we covered inside, please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at bolton_virtual_solutions, or you can email us at teambolton@boltonvirtualsolutions.co.uk. We absolutely love hearing from our amazing community and are always here to support you. If you'd like to be interviewed on a future episode, please drop us an email letting us know which topic you'd like to speak about, and we'll get back to you. See you on the next episode, lovelies. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Streamline and Shine. If you have questions on what we covered inside, please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at bolton_virtual_solutions, or you can email us at teambolton@boltonvirtualsolutions.co.uk. We absolutely love hearing from our amazing community and are always here to support you. If you'd like to be interviewed on a future episode, please drop us an email letting us know which topic you'd like to speak about and we'll get back to you. See you on the next episode, lovelies.